Another week, another win for the Utes. I'm Jeremiah Jensen along with Josh Furlong of KSL.com. We'll take you around the Pac-12, look ahead to another big game against the Sun Devils, and look back at a classic featuring Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers. But first, we look back at a clash between Utah and Cal in 2015. A top 25 matchup featuring two players in the Heisman Trophy race, Devontae Booker and Jared Goff. And if that didn't create enough hype, ESPN's College Football Game Day came to town as well. The good news is the game lived up to the hype.
And right in the middle of it all, the best seat in the house for College Game Day fans seated in Section 0.
I've been here since
11 o'clock last night.
The always have to contact Devontae.
Your mom.
The Utah Jazz select. Beautiful play by Stockton.
I think Sac Lake City is going to be in full form tonight.
I'm going with Kyle Whittingham and Utah.
How can the Bear pick against the Bears?
Oh! I'm going with Utah to break my snap.
Because it's the best TV show in the nation.
It's homecoming week. We're undefeated. Cal's undefeated, which show the top dog in the Pac-12 is.
It's been off the hook, like totally off the hook.
It's very exciting.
Great day of college football coming your way. It'll cap tonight. Salt Lake City with Cal and Utah with an assist from Stockton because Gonzaga doesn't have football. Enjoy your day, everybody.
Ute fans, happy homecoming and welcome to a sold-out and rocking Rice-Eccles Stadium. Saturday night football and a big stage as number 5 Utah and number 23 Cal do battle tonight in a matchup of the lone two unbeatens remaining in the Pac-12 Conference. Pressure coming, Goff throws, it's caught and intercepted! Intercepted by Marcus Williams. 25 to the outside, gets a block 30, and down at the Utah 33-yard line.
Shoot. All I can say is practice. Practice, practice, practice.
It's true. He'll take the handoff, try the right-hand side, be met at the 10. The ball's out. Utah recovers. The ball's still out. Gianni Paul put his helmet right on it. Marcus Williams fell on it. Good snap, good hold. The kick is end over end, and it is good. 2 turnovers on Cal, 3 points for Utah. They lead it 3-0 with 5:51 to play here in the first on 1st and 10. Play action pass, throwing long, has a man, it's out there, it's caught, touchdown. And the Cal Bears lead it. They'll give it to Booker, not much there for Devontae, squirts through, 35, here he goes, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, tiptoes in, it's a touchdown. Devontae Booker. 40 yards and a Utah touchdown.
Credit all to my offensive line. They blocked their butt off tonight and opened some big holes for me. And, you know, I just made plays in the second level and did what I had to do out there tonight and, you know, get us this team victory.
Goff takes the snap, looks to his right, fires, and it's nearly intercepted. It is! Hatfield got it! It's intercepted at the Cal 35-yard line. Damo Hatfield with a pick. Now play action for Goff. Looking, scanning, throwing, and it's intercepted! Justin Thomas picks it off at the goal line and brings it out to the 4-yard line. With play action pass, Travis stepping and throwing long. He's got Butler Bird, caught at the 5, and he walks into the end zone. It's a touchdown! 54 yards for Corey Butler Bird. Pressure again, tipped and intercepted! Yes! Intercepted by Gianni Paul! Oh my goodness, what an athletic play by Paul. He picks it off at the 20-yard line.
Gianni on the spot. Another interception for number 13.
I saw Hunter Dimmitt tip the ball, and I just said the ball had to be mine, so I just try to stretch out.
Give it again. Straight ahead, Booker into the pile, bounces off to the outside. He walks into the end zone. It's a touchdown. Booker from 4 yards away. Goff gives it to Watson. He'll get to the edge, he'll get to the end zone, and he'll have a touchdown. 3-yard touchdown run for Trey Watson, his second on the season. And Cal's back within 4 points, 3 with a PAT with 2:03 to play here in the third. Goff Play action, pressure in his face, down the field, picked! It's intercepted! Damo Hatfield, his second on the season, and the 5th interception tonight by Jared Goff.
Our defense stepped up when it was time. Our team showed that we had a lot of heart.
He's a great quarterback.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
You know, all props given, but we are better secondary.
4th and 5 from the 21. This may be the ball game. Here it is. Goff to pass. Pressure coming. Steps, fires, throws. Incomplete! It's incomplete! Booby Hobbs breaks it up, and the Utah defense holds. Utah's going to win this tonight.
Hope you enjoyed that one.
And the University of Utah is the lone unbeaten team in the Pac-12 conference. They moved to 5-0 on the season as they beat the Cal Bears by a final score of 30-24.
We know what type of team we is. You know, we feel like we the #1 team. You know, we just want to show the world that, you know, we can play with the Alabamas, the LSUs, you know, because we got the guys and we got great talent.
Another magical night at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Not the best night for the pass game, but the run game was spectacular, and the defense forced 6 turnovers, including 5 interceptions against one of the best quarterbacks in the country. How did they do it? Hans Olsen and Christian Cox explain.
They didn't play off at all night. They didn't bracket. They played on top with all of the corners, and you saw a lot of turnovers in terms of interceptions that caused Goff to throw 5 in the game.
You know, so you've got some offensive linemen being pushed in the backfield on Goff, but this is Damo Hatfield just playing spectacular football.
And then one of these other interceptions that we saw was caused by the defensive line. And you see Norris come here. You see a whiffed cut block. You got Norris in his face. And causes Goff to throw off his back foot. This is a terrible position you want to be in as a quarterback. Just slings it up, and it's an easy pick for Dominic.
You know, it was really nice to see that pressured coverage, and they did a heck of a job all night on it, and it changed the way Cal played throughout the night.
Well, the win over Cal was good enough for the Utes to move up 1 spot in the AP Top 25 to #4. They received 16 first-place votes, which is as many as TCU and Baylor combined. The only team with more is #1 Ohio State. The Utes remain at #7 in the coaches poll.
They'll give it to Booker. Not much there for Devontae. Squirts through. 35. Here he goes. 25-20. 15. 10-5. Tiptoes in. It's a touchdown. Devontae Booker. 40 yards and a Utah touchdown.
More awards after the win over 23rd ranked Cal. Devontae Booker is the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week after rushing for 222 yards in the 30-24 win. Punter Tom Hackett is the Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week. That's 7 Player of the Week honors this season, and the only week the Utes haven't had a Pac-12 Player of the Week was during the bye week. And some of the guys probably got votes that week, Josh.
Yeah.
Well, as we look back on this game, let's start with the positives. Devontae Booker finally had that breakout game we were waiting for him to see, and the defense, 6 takeaways. What was your biggest takeaway from this game?
Well, I think it's just how talented Utah's defense is. I think early on in the season they were getting, knocked around a little bit, saying they don't have a talented defense. They're not as good as last year. Maybe that's because of Sataki leaving the program. But I think with John Peace, these guys are just as talented, if not better. You've got a secondary that can finally get the ball. A couple years ago, the secondary couldn't even get a pass picked off. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors. But now things are starting to come along. You're really frustrated. A really talented quarterback, one of the best in the country, and you made him look really average in that respect. I mean, he threw for 300+ yards, but the fact that he got turned over 5 times, I mean, that's incredible. So I think the defense is the biggest standpoint from that game.
Well, it's hard to be picky and critical when a team is 5-0 and ranked #4 in the country, but the pass game looked great. I thought they were over the hump against Oregon and then did not go well in this game. Was this a 1-week thing, or is this a concern moving forward for Utah?
I think it's a concern if it is more than 1 week. I mean, you go from scoring 62 points to 30. You've got to be able to figure out that offense. And yeah, Travis was getting off of his elements a little bit, and the receivers' routes were getting guarded very well. I mean, those receivers were being covered by some fantastic cornerbacks on Cal. So I think it may be one game. I think they scouted Utah very well. Whether Arizona State can do that, I don't know. I mean, Arizona State brings a lot of pressure too, so that doesn't bode a lot of confidence for Travis Wilson in that respect, and just trying to get the ball out quickly. And maybe it does. Maybe you were able to get Siale Fakiloa or Britton Covey involved a little bit more at the tight end and slot receiver game. So maybe it works. Maybe it's something that is in their favor, but it's something that has to improve.
Speaking of Arizona State, the Utes' focus is now on Arizona State. They host the Sun Devils Saturday night, an 8 p.m. Mountain kickoff on ESPN. The Utes won't lack for motivation in this game. There are 2 Pac-12 teams they haven't beat since joining the conference. ASU is one of them. In fact, they've lost 11 straight to Arizona State, the last win coming in 1976.
First drive on offense for this Sun Devil squad. The ball pops out. It's a fumble. Cody Cole right into his arms.
The Sun Devils followed up their win at UCLA with a home win over Colorado Saturday night in Tempe. Everything going right. Even when the Sun Devils fumbled the ball, they bounced their way. Cody Cole with that scoop and score. Then luck was on their side in that pass game. Mike Berkovici's pass tipped into the hands of Tim White. A 48-yard touchdown. Berkovici had 5 touchdown passes. The Arizona State defense played well, and all of a sudden the Sun Devils look to be the Utes' biggest threat in the Pac-12 South. They certainly have the Utes' attention.
First of all, well coached. They're a good team. They have good athletes. We've played them down to the wire, last year and the year before, and came up short.
They start a little slow, but they're ASU. They have athletes on both sides of the ball, and they got size.
There's 2 teams in the conference that since we joined, we haven't been able to beat, and Arizona State's one of them. ASU wasn't executing quite as well early on as they are now. They weren't playing quite as good a defense. They've just tightened everything up. Everything's just gotten better as the weeks have progressed. And like I said, they're playing their best football right now, in my estimation.
All right, Josh, the Utes have not figured out how to beat ASU since joining the conference. What has to happen to get that done on Saturday?
Well, I think that defense has to continually show up, but I think it's more on that offense. We briefly talked about it just barely. Utah has to find a way to be able to contain that pressure that Arizona State's going to bring. They love to blitz the ball. They love to be able to get in there fast, knock Travis Wilson and any quarterback off of its game. So they've got to be able to find a way to make those chunk yardages, but also be able to find a way to navigate that game. Devontae Booker is going to do his thing, and he's going to run for whatever he can run, but you've got to find a way to make that defense back off you a little bit, get some of those deeper passes, make those DBs scared that they've got to actually cover something instead of just allowing 5, 6 guys rushing you every single time.
And Berkovici, 5 touchdown passes, that can't happen.
No.
But of course, this may be an opportunity for Utah to get some pressure on this guy and force some turnovers.
Absolutely. I mean, this defense has shown that they can put a lot of pressure on any team. Any team is vulnerable to this defense if they're able to put it on. Berkovici's, done a fantastic job. He's been a great quarterback for Arizona State. But if they can put that pressure on him, keep him from doing what he does, especially as more of a dual threat quarterback, Utah has no problems in that game if they're able to do that. But Utah's also had issues with dual threat quarterbacks in the past. Whether they can contain it, that's one thing.
Yes, they have. Well, time now to continue our trip around the Pac-12. It was another wild week of conference play, starting with the difficult week for the USC Trojans. Let's start with the game Thursday night against the Washington Huskies. Cody Kessler struggled. He was picked twice, this one by Sidney Jones. The Huskies also put pressure on Kessler. He was sacked and hit multiple times. Washington defense looks great. Kip from Napoleon Dynamite, he's devastated. Still, the Trojans led 6-3 at halftime until Chris Peterson digs into his old bag of tricks from Boise State. Marvin Hall to Josh Perkins. Washington took a 10-6 lead, and they never trailed again. The Huskies go into Troy, and thanks to catches like this, they get the win. That was just the start of a tumultuous week for the Trojans. USC fired head coach Steve Sarkisian on Monday. The former BYU All-American quarterback was let go one day after he was placed on indefinite leave after he appeared to show up for work intoxicated. Sark has been dealing with multiple issues, including substance abuse, and is checked into a treatment facility. Kyle Whittingham among those expressing their support to Sarkisian.
I know Steve well. Wish him the best. I hope everything's able to work out for him, and that's really the biggest key right now is for Steve as a person to make sure he gets everything back in order, and my guess is he will. I think he's a tough guy, and we're pulling for him.
Dramatic finish in Eugene. Washington State down 7, 4th and 3 with 13 seconds, and Luke Falk to River Craycraft. Time for one last play. 3 seconds left. Falk to Dom Williams. Go for 1 or go for 2 in the win? That's the question for Mike Leach. He doesn't seem to be interested. Mike Leach is the best. They went for one. It took 2 overtimes to decide this. Washington State scores on a wild play. The pass is complete to Craycraft. He fumbles at the goal line into the hands of Robert Lewis. The Cougars take the lead. Then it's Oregon's turn facing 4th and 9. But Jeff Lockey's pass is picked off in the end zone. Big win for the Cougars. Luke Falk, 50 of 74 for 505 yards and 5 touchdowns. A new Solomon back at quarterback for Arizona hosting Oregon State. And with Solomon at quarterback, Arizona's offense came alive. Johnny Jackson wide open for a big gain. And that would set up an Arizona touchdown. Nick Wilson. The Wildcats led 20-7. They were just getting started. It was this kind of day for Oregon State. Oh, man. Jordan Villeman gets rocked by Will Parks. Arizona wins big over the Beavers. So, Josh, another week in Pac-12 play. What stood out to you this week? Obviously, the tumultuous week in USC. Unbelievable what happened there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the stuff that happens with Sarkisian is more than football. I think that everybody's trying to kind of cope with that, also trying to understand the expectations that USC has. You know, you hope for the best for him. I mean, that's a very difficult addiction to overcome, and so you hope the best. But beyond that, I think one of the big storylines was Oregon. You know, Oregon obviously got not shut out, but they got beat out by Utah a couple weeks ago, and then they've continually just kind of gone down the hill. Washington State obviously beat Utah last year, so they're not a bad team. But then you come in and beat Oregon in overtime. I think you're starting to see some things unravel at Oregon. You know, it's not necessarily all the defense. They still have issues at quarterback. They've still got some things to work on, but they're not looking like those world beaters that they used to. And I think that's kind of the most interesting thing to me is Oregon's not there anymore, and you're getting a lot of these teams, including USC in the South, that it may not be there. And you've got teams like Cal and Stanford and Utah that are picking up the slack and saying, okay, we'll take charge.
So Oregon, Arizona, and USC all have 2 conference losses. And we're just barely halfway through the season. It's unbelievable what's happened so far.
Utah has 0.
Go figure. So that was not expected during the season. All right, thanks, Josh. In this week's Legends segment, we dusted off some film from 2003. Remember when Cal came to Rice-Eccles Stadium? Alex Smith was making his first start at quarterback for the Utes, and a backup quarterback for Cal named Aaron Rodgers came off the bench and almost rallied the Bears to victory.
Is MacArthur going to the right side. Back to throw is Robertson, going to roll out of it, and he drops at the 20-yard line. Corey Dodds recovers the fumble. Jorgensen in motion. He comes back. He gives it off to Brandon Warfield. Touchdown. 1-yard rush. Brandon Warfield. 10 from his own 20-yard line. Straight drop back. Sets up. Now he's being rushed, and he's sacked. Sacked back at the 15, 16-yard line by Fafita.
Bunch formation to block for Warfield. Brandon Warfield, he's at the 5. Touchdown.
Receivers behind each other on the left side. He sets up, he's going into the end zone. Touchdown to MacArthur. Aaron Rodgers gives it to the fullback. Ball's out. There he's fumbles, picked up by Utah. Scally took the ball away. Fumble right back to Utah. Center takes the snap, straight drop back. He looks, he throws, and it's caught, complete, and it's a touchdown to MacArthur. With the ball on 2nd and 10. Warren rolling, Warren keeping, Warren cutting it back upside, takes it into the inside, breaks the tackle, gets to the 30, gets to the 25, gets to the 20, gets to the 15-yard line. Paris Warren to the far sideline. Back to throw is Rodgers throwing, and it is incomplete. Sean Harper defending on MacArthur. That brings up 4th and 7. Alex asks for the ball. He's got it. He's rolling on the option. He pitches to Warfield at the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Warfield takes it in. 14 yards out.
Obviously in 4-down territory. Blitz. He's hit. Lost the ball. Utah has it, and the Utes will win.
Wow, that was pretty cool to see Aaron Rodgers playing for Cal. Alex Smith, I mean, it's crazy. You look back, and they were obviously drafted in the same class, all that history, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great win.
It was good to look back. Well, hey, USC game, 2 weeks from a week from Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Mountain kickoff. So that was just announced this week. So there's a little bit more news for you as we say goodbye. Thanks for watching the Crimson Corner. See you next week.